but I want to do introductions and kick us off for sure, because this is a super, super hot topic. Well, everything that we're going to talk about, I think, is great. But so Cristina and I met through Zaya, who at the time was working with Zekin, and he said, the two of you have to meet. I'm like, yes, we do. And so as I looked at her background and what she does, I realized that like just what an amazing background to share with the Elevate students, and what you guys come up against in changing careers and working from home and doing all that stuff. And it's exactly what Cristina does and what she works in, right? And so she just has some insight, I think, that's going to be super helpful. And so I'm going to have you take it away, and then I'm going to pull up the questions that we have, and while you do an introduction. But welcome. I'm so excited to have you here.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. I'm really excited to be here. I was a little bit nervous at first, but now I feel like I'm getting my groove. But yeah, I'm Cristina. I have been working in talent acquisition, recruitment, HR for over 8 years. I currently work for a company called Elements Talent Consultancy. I've been with them since January 2022. And I started as a talent acquisition partner, so our company actually deploys talent acquisition partners to large startups anywhere from, so our main customers are Apple, Spotify, and IKEA. And then so that's what attracted me to them in the first place, because I had been trying to break into tech for the entirety of my 8 years of my career. Like, I have interviewed with LinkedIn, Google, Career Builder, like everyone. And they would never, I would get through 3 interviews, but I would never get the job because I didn't have the tech experience. And also they said, you don't even have 10,000 followers on LinkedIn. So that was one of the first things that I did, was like, make sure I got my followers up. And that's part of the questions that I'll give some insight into, because one thing I learned very early on in my career is that your personal professional brand is priceless. If you don't have a LinkedIn at this moment, go get one, get it up and running. Start with, wanting 500 plus connections, go to 1,000, 2,000, like set goals. That's the way I was able to. It took me over 5 years to get to 10,000 followers. And I post consistently, but off track, there goes my ADHD. So I was working as a talent acquisition partner with Elements for over 8 months. I was deployed onto a project at a software development company. The company it's called Rossum. They had at the time, so this was April to August of last year, I was deployed, and I grew there. So they, instead of SDRs, they call them BDRs, so business development reps. I think they're a little bit interchangeable. Yep. So I grew their team from 20 to 40 in under 4 months. And I had never recruited in the Prague market. I had never recruited in Europe. And then I built their US team in Salt Lake City, Utah, which I also had never recruited in. So I did that. I achieved the goal that they needed, their hiring goal. And then I ramped off, and I had all of this fresh sales insight. And the market in tech was kind of, as I'm sure you guys are aware, a little bit challenging. So when all else fails, and one thing I did learn is that sales survives everything. So when economic times are good, sales is good. When economic times are bad, they're pushing sales. So I pivoted into sales very intentionally, and I have been in this role ever since. So I manage the growth of America because we are a global company. So anything North America falls under me. I do a lot of speaker sessions, as well as writing blog posts, articles, whatever I can do, because Elements is very well known in Europe, but in America, not so much. So my job is to, number one, book meetings. So I do a lot of things, but I do have a majority of my role is an SDR role. I'm bringing in, booking meetings. Those meetings get handed over to account executives, so on and so forth. But so I am just like you guys in an SDR role, but I also have taken on more of a public speaking position to keep growing that brand, because I work for a company that doesn't have a well-known brand in the US. So that was long-winded.
No, that's good. I have something very exciting, actually, and I haven't even told these guys yet. So we are going to launch our first ever Elevate Career Summit.
Okay.
And so I would love it if you would be a speaker.
Yeah.
Summit. And we're doing like an all-day event. We're getting recruiters in, we're getting companies in, and I think so we can definitely talk offline, but I would love you to lead that and to just kind of help. So Melissa does our marketing, and just kind of help us, like, how do we get the word out, and let people know, and then drive more opportunities for our students in as well.
Absolutely. I would love that.
Yay.
Exciting. Yeah. So I don't know if there's more I can tell you about myself, but we can dive into questions. However you want to do this.
Yeah, let's have Francis, what question do you have?
Oh, my question is for the. Can you hear me?
Oh,
I'm driving.
no,
I'm sorry.
you're a little frozen. Yeah, maybe turn your video off.
Okay.
I think it'll give you more bandwidth.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Yeah. My question is for Mark. So tomorrow, right? What we're doing tomorrow? Because
Oh yeah,
I
no, this
overheard
is a
you
fireside
yesterday
chat.
saying that Thursday.
Yeah, Francis, you and I can talk offline about that. This is a fireside chat. So
Okay.
Cristina is sharing her experience, but we can definitely talk about that tomorrow. I mean, later today. I can.
I got a question for her though.
Okay.
Ma'am, you said that you was in tech, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm in tech right now.
Okay.
For since 2013. Once I left college, I graduated. My biggest issue is my people skills. So right, I'm trying to get back to sell. But my biggest thing is the speaking. Is the speaking part of it. You know,
Yeah.
I can work in the background with no issue. But how can I overcome the speaking part of it? Me coming from an IT background where pretty much I'm working by myself at all time.
Now, when you say in an IT background, did you say since 2013? Tell me, are you in like more of an analytical role or more of a sales role? You say
No. I'm more of a back end. Meaning is that we design layouts for the company I'm with right now. I'm going to work right now to help the new people to catch up on the new project that we have right now. But my job is to make sure that whatever we design for the company at the back end, the front end is going to be show. If it's like the company website, the company logo, it gotta be like presentable to customers. That's what I'm doing right now.
So when you ask about people skills, I would say that maybe one of the strengths I'm best at, and it by no means comes naturally. So my main phrase that I like to use is observe and apply tactics. My whole career is built on watching other people and seeing how they do things and taking little bits from each person and putting them and creating my own little secret sauce. So one of my goals is, to become a LinkedIn top voices, that banner, right? And I
Right.
follow intentionally a lot of the people that already have that banner. And you'd be shocked at how many webinars, how many training sessions, how many like virtual conferences I attend. And I take so much from people. And I almost think about it as a way of, I heard one time about somebody who had come to the United States and was learning English. And I'm from Michigan, so don't hate me for this, but they would sing Eminem songs to help learn English. And there's something, number one, about music and learning that I wholeheartedly believe in. But also, I think that surrounding yourself with the people you aspire to be like is the best way to grow any skill. If it's people skills, like there are so many people I can list off, so many LinkedIn accounts I can tell you that I personally have learned so much from. But the short answer is observe and apply tactics. If you want to grow your people skills, find the people that you believe to have the skills you lack, and then watch them and take from them. And then put your own authentic self into it. That's what I would say.
Okay. My thing is, we have people at my job that I could talk to, but right when I start to talk with I start to talk to them about the job. They want to talk about family, and they want to talk about what's going on in the household.
Yeah.
And and truthfully, I don't care. I don't care what goes on in your household. I'm I'm here to work.
Yeah.
As
I
as a
agree.
as a as a mid level tech. Pretty much my job is to make sure that you become the best tech person. I don't want to talk about your family. I don't want
I
to do
agree
that.
with
So right,
you.
that's like gossiping.
Right.
I'm not with I'm not with that.
And it can be used against you. I think they call it like oversharing. I really try to stay away from my personal life. I know there
Yes.
are some people that use it to their advantage. I do not. Outside of the fact that like I'm ADHD and I'm a woman in business, that's about all I pretty much share. So, I think finding the balance of what you're willing to share, and also being able to actively listen to them without offending. Jimmy, there's like
Yeah, no,
I really
he's
do get
the
offended.
biggest
I
thing
really do
that,
get frustrated. I really do get frustrated.
yeah, he
Like
did.
she told me yesterday that my face expression is like I don't want to be bothered. That's
Yeah.
true.
And I told him I had the same thing too. He has a resting mad face, and but it's not intentional. Like he's focused, right?
Yeah,
But
I
he's getting penalized at work because he's getting drawn into this drama. Like he's not about it.
yeah,
You meet him, we never even talk about any of that stuff. And so he's wanting to find a role where he can work from home, in which he can't really do the IT stuff necessarily from home, and
yeah.
that's why he's looking at sales. It's not like he doesn't like people, but he wants to talk to people on a business level when he's talking business.
Yes.
I'm not interested in your baby mama issues. Not
Right.
and that's what he's getting is all that kind of stuff. And so he's really, really struggling right now with with trying to get out of that.
Yeah. Now, Francis, let me do you have a LinkedIn?
I do,
Okay.
but I'm not active on it.
Okay. I would recommend become more active on it. I can if you connect with me, I'll put my LinkedIn here. I personally would love to help you. I have had issues that are different but relatable, and actually goes into my questioning. So there's my LinkedIn. Connect with me. We can dive so much deeper on that, depending on like the person or the drama that's being created. Like if it's your supervisor or if it's somebody lateral to you, it's tricky waters you're navigating. So I don't have a best answer other than like my best policy is the only way somebody will keep giving you gossip is if you keep allowing them to feed you. So sometimes just transitioning from, it's almost like you have to learn to shift them to whatever task is most important to you that day. And hey, really glad you feel open sharing this with me. I'd love to talk about that after hours. I do have this task I need to complete today. Can you help me with X? For example, like shift it to work. Sometimes you got to push people. I'm a pusher. I push people. Like that's just what I do. And there are right and wrong ways to do it. And in my 8 years of my career, I have learned the wrong ways to do it. And like part of my questions and I feel like I'm going into all my responses, but fail forward. Failure is the mother of success. You have to fail to get to where you need to go. And you know, it's not easy. And it's especially, you know, when you make mistakes, it can be hard to admit or acknowledge, but taking accountability is the best way to get over that hump and get onto that next level. So yeah, working with people is challenging. And I have ADHD. I have so many stories I could tell you guys. I have had so many bad communications and so many where I've acted or spoke on emotion, when if I would have just paused and taken a deep breath and thought about it for 2 minutes, it would have been a completely different outcome. But you live and you learn. You live and you learn.
Yeah, for sure. So please connect with her, Francis, because I think part of the issue is when he says something and his face is so like looks like he's mad, they're taking it wrong, right? Like, so he's kind of coming, they're kind of coming at him in all directions, right? And he's just like, I just want to work.
Yeah.
And I get that because I've been in that same situation too. So yeah. So Francis
knows everything. I can't hide my emotions, especially when I'm frustrated. Like you'll know. So I can definitely relate to that. But I do think, you know, it's like working out, building muscle. Practice makes perfect. And you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. We can fix this.
Yep. And those are sales skills, Francis. In moving somebody into the direction you need to move them in, those are all sales skills. So the more you do that in the current role that you're in, the better you're going to get as you move into a sales role. So it's all a win-win, really.
Yeah.
It's going to help you and make you better at sales.
There's a few books I can recommend for you as well. One that like changed my life was How to Win Friends and Influence Others.
Yep, and
Number
they
one.
have that access to that in the classroom.
And then I have, so from a recruiting, because you guys are going into looking for an SDR role, right?
Yep.
So a friend of mine, his name is Brian Fink, and he recently published a book, and it's called Talk Tech to Me. You can find it on Amazon. I can send the link as well. That gives every piece of knowledge you could ever imagine on technology from a recruitment and sourcing standpoint. So in that book, there's also like interview questions and guidelines for specific roles so that you can prepare yourself and also, come armed that somebody isn't going to ask you a question that you know nothing about. You read that book, you'll know everything there is to know about. Here it is. And I'm not just saying that because I'm listed in the beginning of it, I swear.
No, I wrote it down. No, that's one that I definitely, it sounds like they need access to for sure.
And then here, I know one of the questions you had asked me was about artificial intelligence. I'll get deeper into that, but as far as books go, the AI Recruiter, this will give you prompts to get the SDR job you need and the one you want. You will get your dream job just by understanding from the recruitment standpoint, artificial intelligence. So those are a few that I recommend that can help you get ahead.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So we have more questions. We're not even going to get to the questions that you and I put together. So Charles, I think you were first, and then Michelle will go to you.
Okay, for sure. Christina, first and foremost, thank you for your time today. We all
Absolutely.
Insight. So my personal experience, I have been applying to roles. I applied at several positions at Google, networked with a lot of people there, actually invited a few of them to our graduation. And I just have been getting a lot of rejections. And I started reaching out to the recruiters that rejected me, asking like, hey, is there anything I can do, to improve it? The people at Google gave me really, really honeycomb answers. Didn't really give me any insight. All they said was that your background is relevant, but sometimes people get rejected because other applicants have more relevant experience. So I'm like, you're telling me my background is relevant, but then telling me that people will have more relevant experience. So I think my main issue right now, Christina, is that I don't have any actual experience doing this yet.
Yes, you do.
In real life, but on paper, they're not looking at me, and that might be automatically rejecting me just based on that alone. I don't know what it is. I want to read the AI Recruiter now to see what that might be sifting me out of I'm just getting a lot of rejection, and I know for a fact my background is a great fit for, honestly, anybody.
Are you using the same resume for every job you apply to?
No, well, I mean, right now, all my sales positions, but marketing positions, I have a resume for.
Okay.
Customer success positions, I have a resume for.
Okay.
Sales, I have a resume for.
So let me just find the question, Jamie, that you had provided me.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, let me give you some background. So he got frustrated. He was getting shut down at Google. Well, okay, so Norman came from Google, our CEO founder, right? He gave him a contact, but Norman never contacted the contact to let him know that Charles was reaching out. So it was a very bad experience. And Charles was like, I've had it. So he contacted like 6 people at Google. He had 6 people in his capstone from Google, and they totally had his back the entire time. While he was doing his presentation and all this stuff. And so can he do the SDR role? Absolutely he can. He just got 6 people from Google to show up, and he got an invite to go to the campus and have lunch with someone there. Like,
you got more than I did.
But none of that has gotten me a full-time role. I have not gotten a full-time offer yet. And I'm just like, I just don't know. I was like, what else can I do? Like, I know I can do something. I'm to the point now where I'm like, maybe it's not sales. Maybe I need to go take some coding classes and get a sales engineer job. Like, maybe I just am aiming too low or something. I don't know.
Do you love sales? I love sales. Do you love sales?
I'm a survivor and a hustler. I've made 6 figures selling.
And you love sales.
I've made 6 figures selling marketing service. So I'd say I'm good at sales, and I'm good at talking to people.
Okay. Yes. I think you should definitely, just because they say no, that doesn't mean no forever. That means no right now. And I would recommend don't reapply for at least 3 months. And when you do reapply, contact me and we'll fix your resume, because big companies like Google, LinkedIn, Microsoft, you name it, they are all using an applicant tracking system. I have personally, as I'm growing Elements, I've also created strategic alliances with the two main ATSs that everybody uses, which is Lever and Greenhouse. So in doing that, I kind of have a lot of knowledge on how to get through them. So I'd love to help you on that, but it's a challenge that in my 8 years, I have never seen the market like this. I hope to never see it like this again. I can't explain it. I wish I could. I wish I had a magic wand that could help everyone, up and including myself. Like, we all want to grow and progress in our careers. I hope that by Q1 of 2024, we're in a much better spot. But I'm with you. I can't predict the future. And everybody that I know that's looking for a job is struggling. So one of my pieces of advice as a recruiter turned sales professional, well, I was always kind of a salesperson. So I guess I'll start with my beginnings. So I stumbled into the recruiting industry because I was going to college for a bachelor's degree in human resource development. The last semester, I was required to have a summer internship. I was waitressing for 6 years while I was going to college and prior to, and I actually could have graduated much sooner, but I was I was taking waitressing ahead of getting my degree because I was just making really good cash money. Don't recommend doing that either, but so I had a LinkedIn profile. I was looking for an HR internship that I needed in order to graduate. An HR director at a local staffing agency reached out to me. We met for lunch. One interview, boom, I started the next week. It was a 3-month internship. And 3 weeks before my internship was due to end, they hired me in full time as an account manager, reporting directly to the vice president of sales. Oh, wow. Anything can happen. So, when it comes to my getting into recruiting, I stumbled on it. I had one course in my HRD, human resource development bachelor's degree, one course on staffing and recruiting. I had no idea that recruiting and staffing was an industry in and of itself. No idea until I actually got out into the world and started working. And I haven't left since. There's money to be made for sure. But as far as getting a job right now, I've never seen it so challenging. So now I'm going to a different question, Jamie, but my piece of advice as far as tools, I don't have specific tools that I would advise. I'll advise on one, which is that I'm using right now. It's called Transparent Note. I actually used it at Rossum, the software development company, that they had $100 million Series A investment from General Catalyst, and they were based in Prague. They actually flew me to Prague to meet the team, which was scary to fly into Czech Republic alone. And then they don't have Ubers there. So I had to get a taxi and then, cross my fingers, hoping that I get to the hotel and then figure out how to find the office the next day. a story for another day. But met the team, grew their team in Europe and in the US. And there goes my ADHD. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, my 3 pieces of advice are not tools. I have 3 resumes right now. So my title is Growth Manager Americas. If you go looking for that job, there's not many people with that title. So I have 3 template resumes. I have an account executive, a customer success manager, and then a traditional talent acquisition partner / manager. And my advice is when you're looking for a job on LinkedIn or any job search tool, I only apply to jobs that have been posted within 24 hours because you want to be one of those first. And I make sure to, whatever the title is of that job and whatever the bullet requirements are, whichever one of my templates is closest to that, I take that and I make sure that I switch the titles. I switch a lot, keywords. I make sure it's all set up to match that job vacancy. And within 24 hours is that's kind of my rule of thumb. You know, if you're applying to a job that was posted over a week ago and there's 700 applicants already, I wouldn't waste your time.
What about the personalized outreach? Like, you know, I have them go to like VPs of sales, go to SDR managers, and frankly, build their network by going to SDRs and AEs and saying, you know, hey, I'm looking to break into tech. That's what I'm doing. But you're right. It is an absolutely crazy job market. We had an SDR. He's in Colombia. He flew for an interview to Florida. He got there and they denied him the interview and would never tell him why and ghosted him.
That can't be legal.
Like who does that?
I did they pay for him to fly from Colombia?
No, I think he flew himself there. That's
red flag number 1.
Yeah.
If you are outside of the area in which the company wants, if a company wants you to interview and they want you in person, they do not ever pay to go to an employer to interview. Just don't do it.
Yeah, we had a partner, same thing. They were gonna fly out one of our folks and they wanted him to pay and they were gonna reimburse them. And I just was like, luckily it didn't come to fruition, but I was just like.
I have done that though, and it did work out. So.
But I mean, these are new folks getting into tech sales. It's like, I don't know who has the money to do that at this point, to be honest.
Yeah, don't do it.
And he's in the East Coast to come to Arizona. I just was like, no.
I mean, a Spirit ticket can't be much. If the bare minimum isn't provided, they're not that interested.
Yeah, that's my thought. Exactly. So yeah, and you guys, I know you want to get new roles, but listening to some of these red flags and really being aware of them, like, you know, based on what happened with you at Google, Charles, like there is a group of people that do have your back and they have brought you in as Google family. They're just not ready to bring you all the way into the family yet. Kind of to Christina's point. So let's let it cool off for 3 months, keep those relationships that you've built going, and then meet up with Cristina in 3 months when you're ready to go back and come up with a new plan. Yeah. Because they have brought you into the family. You are Google family. They're just not you're an in-law or distant cousin at this point. They're just not ready, right, to bring you fully into the family. And unfortunately, that's how Google works.
Yeah, it's all good. Christina, I'll definitely follow up with you in a few months.
Yeah.
If any of us are interested in like technical, like growth into technical roles, what are skills that all of us here can add to our tool belt other than just sales? We got all of us for the most part got HubSpot certified. What are some technical skills for the few of us that are interested in adding more schools to our tool belt, tools to our tool belt.
When you say technical skills, so you said I use HubSpot right now. So now my brain shifted. So I use HubSpot. I use Zoom Info. There's a company called Apollo. You can get a free, it's like Zoom Info, but it's free. I use that as well. Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Recruiter. Okay, there's one thing, LinkedIn Learning. I purchased, it was like, I think it was $200 for an annual membership, and you can learn pretty much anything on there. I'll be the first to raise my hand and say, I am not the technical expert. I'm not. I'm a people person. Can I get by technically? Yeah. But it's because of books like the ones I recommended that kind of give me cheat sheets as far as, roles and technical skills that I do not have myself, but I'm also a firm believer in fake it till you make it. And that's just the name of the game. Realistically, like when I was deployed to the software development company in Prague, my company sold me as an expert sales recruiter. And I was like, yep. I recruited across Europe. I had to learn different times. So I was working across 3 time zones because I'm Eastern. Prague is like an hour ahead of London. So I was working across 3 different time zones. And then Czech is the money. It's not US dollars.
Yeah.
So I had to learn all of that too, as well as like the legalities behind hiring somebody in Prague. And then, I was hiring in Germany. I was hiring across different countries in Europe that have completely different laws. I guess in Germany, you can't even cold call. It's illegal. Didn't know that. Figured that out real quick. Yeah.
I think that must be why they hire in Ireland for people who speak German.
Yep. Dublin is a big hub.
That's interesting because I always see that. They're like French speaker, German speaker, based in Ireland. I'm like, okay, there must be something there.
And I had to qualify candidates as proficient in French and German, like I speak something. I don't. I don't speak at all. Yeah. So, one thing I can say, I have used it a million. Fake it until you make it. Nobody knows. Yep. And I know that can sound a little bit sketchy. The market is kind of sketchy right now.
Yeah, no, and it's being in sales. It's being adaptable. I think it's adaptable more than anything. So these guys, I actually got everyone access to Coursera.
Okay.
So they have access to 6 I think 6 or 7 certificate programs now to give them extra, something in whatever area they're interested in. So, but to Christina's point, you guys, you can overdo it on the technical knowledge. You really can.
Nobody really, I know a lot of great salespeople, great recruiters, great I know a lot of people in high level positions that you would think by looking or speaking to them that they have so much technical skills, knowledge, experience. They don't. A lot of it is just presenting yourself. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I have over obsessed on the technical skills for years, and I still don't really have them, but I work for a tech company now. So it's possible. It is totally possible. It's just, and one thing I know, Charles, you had mentioned, like, I don't technically have the experience. So I'm going to go back to one of my other responses to the questions, Jamie, is that, as a waitress, I learned how to speak to anyone. I learned how to upsell. I learned how to build relationships, and that's a people skill. I learned how to talk to anybody, upsell, and create repeat customers. And over the course of a few years, I had multiple. And when I say multiple, I mean I have more. I have less fingers and toes than I did repeat customers that would come into the restaurant and say, I only want to sit in Christina's section. So really, it's actively listening to whoever it is you're speaking to and relating to them. Sales is everything. That's another. I'm going through all my questions all over the place. Sorry, Jamie, but
No. It's for sure. And I have to say, based on what you said, it's account management too.
Yeah, 100%.
Manage the accounts.
Absolutely. But where was I going with that?
Just Charles was saying, he doesn't have the skills.
Oh, yes. Anything that sales is everything, and everything is sales. Any experience you've ever had in your life, if you frame it right, it's all about wording. Like the way that I framed I wish I could go back and find my resume from when I was an intern, because it was like, I had waitressing experience. I had a co-op, like preschool teacher. I didn't have much. But I was able to describe in those few bullets that the experience I did have was completely transferable to staffing, recruiting, and sales. And once I did get into the role, my 3 rules, which are over here, let me just get back to my tips for you guys to break into sales. I have 3 rules. Number 1, SDRs and BDRs, the role essentially is rejection. You're constantly, you'll have 100 rejections before you'll have somebody say yes and want to move to the next, to move them to an account executive to speak to them. So number 1, do not allow factors outside of your control to discourage you from your goals, and always fail forward. Failure is the mother of success. Number 2, stand out. Build your personal professional brand on LinkedIn. Post often. My brothers, my cousins, they laugh at me. They make comments. I don't care. I will continue to post. When you're trying to do something great, not everybody is going to love it. So just stand out and continue to put yourself out there. And then my last rule, which I've already said, sales is everything, and everything is sales. Every aspect of your life can be looked at from a growth mindset. So just be yourself and sell your authentic self. People buy from people they like. People like people they can relate to. And, in B2B sales, yes, I work for a business and I'm selling to another business, but I am a person, and the person that I'm trying to sell to is a person. So connecting on that level is how I have found my success. I think, Michelle, you have a question. I don't want
to. It's not really like a question, because honestly, like every time I had a question in my head, you kind of like answer it while like going over it. So I'm like, is she reading my mind? But I feel like Charles, and I feel like a lot of us have the same feeling, is the fact that we have all these skills. We even have the soft skills, but employers are just looking, they're very nitpicky, because like I used to be in the staffing industry, and there was one particular account, I think there were 2 of them, that whenever I left, they were like, who's going to replace you? Like, if we don't have somebody like you, we don't want to work with the company
Yeah.
that I used to work with.
Had that too.
And even my manager was like, Michelle, are you sure you want to leave this and that? I'm like, hey, I love my job, but this is not the industry that I want to be in, and I want to be happy doing my job.
Mhm.
And I had to like literally explain to them my whole training process to the new person, and I have to go personally to their offices to introduce this person, so they will be like comfortable with her before
Do
me
they pay
leaving.
you extra for that?
Huh?
Do they pay you extra for that? Because not a lot of people do that.
They don't, but I really like these clients, and honestly, like I connected with them on LinkedIn. They were like really good recommendations for. They even like offer me jobs to work
Yeah.
with them. But again, like I was just not interested in working in that industry, and I even told him that, and he's like, "Well, if you need anything, just let me know." And yada yada yada. But it's like I have been working on writing my resume to like explain that, and I feel like I have been able to do that using like ChatGPT and all those AI tools. But it's like whenever I am in an interview and they actually see my resume, they're like, oh, you were just a staff and supervisor. That doesn't really translate to account manager or SDR. And I'm like, what are you
The
talking
name
about?
is staff manager. Who's gonna know?
I was like, hey, like, I mean, maybe they don't know. Like, I mean, in staffing, like, I mean, you're doing recruiting, you're doing outsourcing, you're like, I was doing like so much. I was even handling marketing campaigns.
Yeah. I mean, P&L.
Yeah.
My
And,
title doesn't
and they were just like, no, going for that because I didn't have the right title. And I'm like, what are you guys looking for? You're being extremely nitpicky.
I may be completely wrong in saying this, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe in titles. Titles are, I've worked for VPs, I have worked for CEOs, I have worked for plenty of senior leaders who had these fancy titles that they didn't live up to. I have had, I have previous colleagues of mine who I've, filled out reference forms. I've spoken to the employer that is looking to hire them, and they've said, hey, Lorraine mentioned that she used to report to you. Yes, I'd love to give a reference for her. She said she was in this role. I'm like, yep. No, she wasn't. Build connections with people, and don't. There's a fine line between tweaking your title and, like, I'm not suggesting you go from staffing supervisor to head of TA, but if you go on ChatGPT and ask the prompt, can you provide me the top 10 titles that are similar to staffing supervisor and rank them from highest in demand to lowest, that'll give you a starting point.
That is interesting. I never really thought of that. I thought of like changing, or not changing, but like rewriting the tasks that I used to do. And that actually opened a lot of doors.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have found very useful is everything that we have been doing with Elevate, just calling. I called this one company, but they were asking for an account executive. So I knew that I was like aiming really high, but I'm like, hey, it's not going to kill me. And he was like, hey, I love that you call me. I love the energy of the call. Unfortunately, I am looking for someone that has experience in software before.
Mm-hmm.
So call me whenever we do have an SDR position available. But I don't think that you're there for the account executive. And I just connected with him. And I connected with him, a couple of the SDR, and one account manager. So like I'm there, like I'm in their radar. I just need to wait for the right position. But that has like opened a lot of doors. But whenever I'm like in the interview, it's like, oh, you were just a staff and supervisor. And I'm like, Yeah,
No.
and I do
No,
everything that your SDR does.
Yeah, so fix the title. It's
Yeah.
fine. Fix the title. That's what she's saying. That's the bottom line. I want to make sure that we get to Tiara's question.
Okay, so I guess it's along the same lines as Charles and Michelle. I've been doing a lot of interviews, like a lot of interviews, especially within the past 2 weeks. Thank you.
We got you,
And I
girl.
get the first one, but then I don't land the second one. Like I had a conversation, and I've been connecting with a lot of like folks in higher up positions, where I'm able to talk to them, but then it's like, oh, like the lady today was like, oh, well, I'm going to send you some information about the company and you can review it and then get back to me via email. When I get back to her, or what is like translate, please, because I don't understand. I'm like, I'm ready to go.
Did you research the company before you did the interview? So
I
why did she
did.
feel the need to send you information? That's like one of the things in as an SDR, when you're trying to get a meeting from somebody, they're like, oh, just send me some information. You got to have
Yeah.
a riddle for that. You know?
Yes, so you
Yeah.
gotta. So she's saying you gotta rebut what she said, and get
Okay.
past that into. I'm actually want to get time on your calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I all of you guys, I recommend Calendly. Get a Calendly link. If you have a Gmail account, you can block certain times that, and I use it in my own reach outs to, because so my buyer persona right now is like heads of TA, CHRO, director of talent, global, anything global HR or TA. And then I also love to go supply chain and procurement, because sometimes it's easier to get in from them. So being creative about who you're targeting is one thing. The second thing for you, Tiara, I would say is that's really weird that you had an interview and she came back with information. That's like the first I've heard of that. And so let me do at the end.
It was more of like the package
sales.
she sent. I'm sorry, go ahead.
She's already in sales, Cristina. She's already on the phone and doing all this stuff. And she
Every
gets
day.
to like the first and second interview, and then it's like they ghost her. It's the weirdest thing.
Do they ask you at the end? So number one, a few indicators that I have from being in the recruitment space is if they go over time with you, if they booked a half hour and they go over, that's a good sign.
Okay.
If they ask you, do you have any questions for me? That is your time to shine. Always remember, they may be interviewing you, but you're interviewing them too.
Yep.
Okay. And people don't leave jobs, they leave bosses. So you really want to make sure that you're qualifying the lead in the same way that you would a sale.
Right.
And asking the right questions. As a recruiter who was hiring BDRs, SDRs, sometimes I would be on the phone and I'd be like, I don't know. And then I would say, do you have any questions for me? And they would come in with some ridiculously awesome question that I myself didn't even think about. And I was like going through straight to the hiring manager. So things can change like that. I really do believe it's just like sales, asking the right questions, being resilient, and knowing that rejection is part of the process. Like not everybody is cut out for sales. Not everybody. I don't particularly find myself great at interviewing. I'm not really great at interviewing others or interviewing as myself looking for a job. But knowing the right questions to ask and when they book it with you and you know that you get that name of that person you're interviewing with, I stalk the shit out of them. I find out, I look at their activity and like what posts they like, what they comment on, what are they interested in. So I can utilize that to build a relationship, because building a relationship with that person is how you're going to get through to the second and third rounds.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I'm also, unfortunately, I don't know if it's fortunately or unfortunately, I'm getting a lot of like, well, you know, this is an entry level role, like you're super overqualified. And I'm just like, I know, but I'm trying to get in so I can grow.
Right.
So,
The overqualified one is hard.
mhm.
You
Because
know,
they don't think you're gonna stay. That's
Yeah.
the thing,
Yeah.
right? Christina, is that?
yeah. And I think anytime I hear somebody say like, oh, you're overqualified, I personally have never said that to anyone. I don't like that. I don't think that that's kind to say. There's different ways. If a company is telling you that you're overqualified, I would kind of advise that that's not a company I would want to work for. There's a kinder way of saying things like that. And it's, for me, I have had somebody who I didn't think was a fit for the SDR, BDR role, but I did tell them, hey, I know we have a sales enablement position opening up. It's not open yet, but it is opening up. I'm going to keep your resume. This is my cell phone number. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I use every channel I can. I'm a texter. I will call. I will email. I will get to you somehow, some way. But, if you're not the right fit for that position, that's not the end all be all. And that person who said that you were overqualified kind of sucks.
I hate when they say that. I only had like 2 interviews that they actually said that. And I remember seeing or like hearing that just like what you said in a seminar once. And once they told me that, I was like, thank you. And I just like move along. I'm like, And then I actually like looked them up on Glassdoor, and I like the comments were like 50-50. So I'm like, no.
Like, I'm sorry, but overqualified. That sounds like wouldn't you want that?
Right.
You would think.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like if you think that they're saying that, thinking that you're not going to stick in the role, and say you really do want this job, even though this person said that you were overqualified, and that's a shitty thing to say, I would reiterate that you are eager to learn and grow within that specific company.
Mm-hmm.
You may have a lot of experience and qualifications, but you have 0 working at that company. So reiterate the fact that you are, you are, what's the word I'm looking for? Willing to learn, eager to grow, coachable, and that you want the role, and you don't anticipate leaving, jumping ship. You want to make an investment in a career with this company. That's the way I would shift the overqualified thing. But I feel like it kind of gives age discrimination too. Like I've had candidates approach me about other recruiters are. Let me just say, there are a lot of terrible recruiters. I hate to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But they make people like me look really good because they suck. But like,
I completely get that.
there are so many really bad ones, and do not let one bad interviewer get you down. Like my rule number 1. Do not let factors outside of your control discourage you from your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Keep pushing. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. I guarantee down the line, the right company that values your experience and your qualifications will be thrilled to have you. You don't want that job anyway if they say you're overqualified.
Yeah.
Because
That doesn't really make sense.
the interviewer's threatened. No?
Yep, I want to check in with Cristina on time, you guys, because we're at the top of the hour. We're actually 3 minutes over. So where are you at with time? we definitely are going to have her back for another fireside chat. This was fine. We didn't even, just so you guys know, didn't even get to the questions that we had sent.
I feel like I should provide that in the chat for you guys.
Yeah, I can share that with them in Basecamp for sure.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I really would like to add you to our Slack channel, and just so you can get, I mean, the stuff that these guys are going through is insane. The market, like you said, is they're getting beat up, literally. Like,
Every day I cross my fingers and thank God that I still have a job.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it is hard out here. Like, I have had some great friends and colleagues. Like, my company is not immune to what's going on in the tech space. We've had layoffs. I shifted to sales to avoid being laid off, and it worked. So, you know, don't be discouraged by rejection. Stand out, build your personal professional brand. And I'm always willing to help. If I can help you in any way, I will.
I want to recap. We did the recording. I want to put the recording out. I want to list all the books. And then you talked also about Transparent Note, but you didn't say anything about that.
Oh yeah. I think it's, so as I was working at the software development company and interviewing SDRs, I would use, because there's qualifying questions, right, that you need to ask to make sure that they're qualified for the role. And I had jumped in, and when I say I dived in and I doubled their headcount in under 4 months, I was hustling. And the Transparent Note is an app. I think it's an app. I got it on like the Apple store. And basically you can, I'm looking at you guys right now, right? But I have Transparent Note up, and I have all of my questions and responses here so that I can still see you guys, but I can see my notes at the same time. So I know I don't miss anything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Instead of having to like switch tabs and stuff, because then, you know, sometimes I have so many tabs where I'll be like, oh my God, where are they now? Where is that red dot that shows me I'm on video with them?
Yep.
So I do use Transparent Note, and there are tons of other free tools. I'm sure there's a Transparent Note free version somewhere. I think it was $9.99 for the year, but I do not recommend anyone spend money on anything. You guys can nail your dream job without having to spend a dime.
Yeah, for sure. Brandon's wondering if you're in the Detroit metro area.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so is Brandon.
Okay,
so we've got some networking that he can do in your neck of the woods. That would be fantastic. He has an HR background, so you two should connect to. I'm going to put you in our Slack if you're okay with that. I really
love that. Yeah.
I just, our folks just need a boost. They have these great skills, and it's so funny. I was talking to one of them the other day, and then we'll wrap up. He teaches middle school, which is where I came from as well.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm really scared about making cold calls. And I'm like, okay, stop.
Everybody.
If you can convince a middle schooler to do anything, you can talk to anybody. Literally. Like,
all you gotta do is pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. That's the hardest part.
It is. It's the definitely the hardest part. But this has been absolutely amazing, and Cristina has so much more insight. We didn't even get into the ADHD side of it.
I know,
because of our ADHD.
I could have talked to you guys forever, but if you want to do another one of these, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, we definitely.
And
we
then
definitely want to do it, and then I'll get you the dates for the hiring event, and just kind of planning out, like, you know, maybe doing like a section of like a panel or something in that area.
We have friends at tech companies.
Oh, and Jamie, real quick, it's funny that you mentioned again the HDSD, because I mean, I don't have that. I have like some like aspect of it, but I haven't been like prescribed anything. But I actually started using Notion the right way, and it has calmed my brain so much. whenever I was setting up my page, the first person that came to my head was you. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to tell Jamie this right now. So
Are we
there.
talking natural supplements for ADHD? Because I got a list of those too.
Oh no, this is a
Okay.
No, the tool.
no, this is like a digital planner type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the companies that I would really love to work for, but they don't do remote work. So I'm like, well, maybe I can just move to Seattle and just work for them.
Unless they move you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother. There's lots to talk about and lots of red flags, and these guys are definitely hungry, and I think they're getting taken advantage of in some cases.
We're starving.
Yeah.
Listen, this has been awesome. Like I said, I could do this all day. I could talk to you guys all day. So if you guys need anything, connect with me on LinkedIn. I mean, I could give you guys my cell phone number. Even I am always working. I have a problem where I just don't know how to plug. Oh, email. Yes. Here we go.
Thank you.
And you'll have that when she gets into Slack, you guys. That'll be so as she can actually put her phone and all that stuff in her Slack profile. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah. If say you have an interview coming up and you want to prep or practice, I'm here. Happy to help.
Thank you so much, Cristina.
Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah,
this is awesome.
I am so grateful that you came to talk to us today. So.
Yeah. And then I look forward to hearing from you for the next one. And you guys keep in touch. Anything I can do to help, happy to.
Yay. Amazing. All right, you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.